another edition of Just with Seven here on 7 TV. And if you're joining us for the first time, you are welcome to 7 TV. So we are going to be talking about domestic violence against women. And when I say a little bit of men, I don't know, but I don't want to feel attacked. But yes, we are talking about domestic violence against men and women, and we're using a case of Osinachi Machuku. This is a very sad news. I don't know where to start from. This woman is a gospel artist, a minister of God, and a lot of stories has been, coming up concerning her demise. Let's actually talk about it because we are using her as a case study, and the truth is that we have a lot of people going through domestic violence.
Sure.
We have a case of the ones we know and the case that has not even been recorded, that are not identified, and this is actually, like I said earlier, is a canker worm that is eating deep in marriages and even relationship, because we can't actually leave relationship out of it, because that is how it grows. So I would really like to understand from your own, perception, from your own perspective, what are your thoughts about domestic violence? What are your thoughts about it?
First of all, I'll start with I do not encourage domestic violence.
Okay.
In any form. Nobody should practice it. It's not good.
Okay.
But I feel there is more we can do to avoid domestic violence.
Okay.
Both from the women and from the men. First of all, I don't advise people to actually go into marriage if you don't check your spirituality, if you guys are compatible.
Okay.
Let's start from there.
Okay, you said it from the spiritual aspect.
The spiritual aspect
Okay,
of it.
interesting.
I advise everyone, like, if it's one thing to be in love, it's another thing in the marriage bargain, is a different thing entirely, because you're going to see something different entirely when it comes to marriage.
Oh, okay.
So, why I say people should check their spirituality, like we were discussing yesterday, I believe the future is in the realm of the spirit, not the physical realm.
Exactly.
So, I say people should check their spirituality. In my little understanding, I've got to see that when people check spirituality, what God really gets to check over there is, can this person tolerate this person in the nearest ratio when this person starts behaving somehow?
Okay.
Will this man be able to tolerate this woman?
Exactly.
And will this woman be able to tolerate this man when this man starts behaving somehow in the future?
Okay.
Now, when God says, okay, they are compatible, they can actually tolerate each other no matter what circumstances they are having, then I think He gives them go ahead for compatibility. That does not mean there won't be trouble in the marriage. That does not mean there won't be misunderstanding. But it's just that the both of you can actually tolerate each other when these things come up.
Interesting.
See, domestic violence is not something that it's not a good thing in a relationship. Whether you are married or you are still in a relationship, you're about to marry. See, what I think about domestic violence is that, number one, before you go into marriage, there must be maturity.
Okay.
You understand? Everybody have temperament. You
Exactly.
understand? So maturity, it's what's placed out when you are having misunderstanding in marriage. You understand? See, like someone said that the male, the female, they can be, this their mouth, they can be so, they can bring you down with their mouth, they can do so many things, you understand? See, I'm not only speaking from the female perspective, you understand? I'm also speaking for
the
male.
male perspective.
See, there are times that you as a man, you are not really in good mood, probably from work or something like psychological and all that.
True.
Yes, and so you just felt that, okay, you don't want any other trouble from somebody that your wife or your husband. I'm talking from both sides. So something might spot up, you understand, maybe disagreement and all that. But your ability to be able to walk away. See, the most important thing is walk away from any unhealthy arguments.
Sorry, can I take from what you're saying? Because if we begin to, I just want to apologize in advance if I get emotional while I'm discussing this thing, because it's really getting to me right before we even came for the show. If we are to begin to blame domestic violence on certain things, then we might be excusing
excuses.
I do not, for any reason, whether it is immaturity, whether it is the fact that you have anger issues. The truth of the matter is that on every level, male or female, domestic violence is bad. The only reason that I feel that we should discuss this domestic violence thing as pertains to women being the object of the violence is because more often than not, it ends up in these women being killed. Exactly. How many times do men die from domestic violence?
That's the point.
They get hurt. They could, one or two things could happen. We could hear reports of a woman stabbing a husband. Sometimes they are isolated cases. But now, more and more things are beginning to open up, and we are seeing women dying. The fact is, the strength of a man over a woman is massive. And when a man is hitting a woman with all of that strength and all of that power, man, what do you expect from the woman? Do you understand what I'm saying? The woman can lose her life. Sorry. So the point I'm trying to make here is this. The difference between dating, courting, and marriage is 24 hours. 24 hours of wedding, right? It does not change a man's temperament. It does not change the fact that a man was a temperamental person, and then he has to take, after 24 hours, he begins to work on his temperament. So you as a woman, I want to say it, when you want to get married to a person, it is before you get, we were discussing one time on the show, I think, and then we were saying that the first thing, I think that was in the last episode, what you need to understand first and foremost is that dating is for a reason. Dating is not that you should begin to, it's not a determinant that you must get married to that person. Dating says, I am going to want to know you better. I want to know if you and I are compatible enough to get married. So within that dating sphere, you should know if this is a person that, if you can really, really marry this person, there is no how that a man begins to batter you and beat you in marriage that he has not given the signs before. Exactly, it's not possible.
Exactly.
So whatever will push you.
Yeah, I know you're, don't get emotional. So
I what I was about to say. Domestic violence is really bad, and it's something that has been happening lately in our society today, and mostly women are the victims of it, really. And what I could say could actually cause this is, first of all, you said that people will get signs before marriage, of course, which it is true. But some women still feels that maybe during the marriage it's going to change or stuff like that, and that still leads to that. But there are some people that, due to, let's just say, they got pregnant before the wedding, they still have to push on it because they don't know how to go back, staying alone with the child and stuff. But they still see those signs, but they still go in, thinking that maybe once she has given birth to that child, then maybe the man could change while seeing his own heir or something like that. And again, what is to cause this is because people don't communicate well during courtship.
Exactly.
People don't really communicate very, very well during courtship. Whenever they're in courtship, some people do what they want to do, some don't do what, like, communication is really important because there are a lot of things being said while communicating.
Yeah.
If it's in a distance relationship, there are things, calls, make video calls. Stop listening to him saying he's busy, and the next thing they are fixing wedding dates. That's not it. Because we're doing that, you don't even know a lot of things about him.
Yeah, that actually brings me to saying something, because the truth is that you guys have actually said it all when it comes to this domestic violence. And one thing is very important, like you said, signs. So now we know that signs are there, but there are people who do not understand or do not even identify that these can be signs. You understand? And that is actually a problem which ends to marriage. So when we are talking about the signs, I believe that there are strong signs. So I would really like us to, can you guys really try to, speak about some of those signs so that people can identify if they can relate it or they can relate it to someone close to them, so that we can stop more of Osinachimachuku and other people that are also in this situation or that have someone that has, this kind of things happening to them. No, Oluwatobi.
It's very unfair to people that didn't see the sign, because the truth is that there are some that don't come with sign. I'm telling you the truth.
You see, there are some that don't come with signs.
Let me give you an example.
Right, yes.
A man was doing well
true.
before he got married.
Okay.
You won't see the anger issue.
Yes, true.
Do you know that some men begin to get aggressive when they don't have money in their hand?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Do you get my point?
And so women.
So now,
exactly, it is still the same point that I'm talking about. So in this case, how can one even identify? Because you can't just say that people all of a sudden, yes, this is a case where this has happened, but then in the midst of this, you can see an element of anger issue, maybe by his voice, something like
let's
just something.
Let's just say, okay, you guys are dating, right? And you guys go out to eat or something,
Okay.
and then mistakenly the waiter maybe pours something on him. The way the guy reacts. are
Okay,
signs.
okay.
The way he reacts to it, the way he reacts to the person, like, are you mad? Stuff like that. It's also signs.
At times it does not define.
And that
Yeah,
does not
I-
define
It
who that
does.
person
Yeah,
is.
but-
Sometimes it does.
Fine.
You know,
I would want to know what
See,
you
if
think
you
about
are
it.
looking at,
Please, let's know what
He
you
has-
think
if you
about
are
it.
looking at those signs, then you will not marry any man. If you are looking at those signs.
Wait, I-
Understand? Because there is a moment, every man have their own anger moment. You understand? It
Though-
does not mean, you know, some people they have a way of controlling it.
If you really want to look with your eyes, you might not see anything. Like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. You saw this guy is an angry person, so temper. He might be a very good guy in marriage. So you cannot really judge a person by appearance or money. That brings me back to what I said earlier. Checking your compatibility. Now, I courted my wife for 5 years.
5 years.
We were dating for good 5 years.
Was that intentional?
First, we never had the intention of marriage anyway. You were just dating. Before we know, 5 years was gone.
Well,
Then I know I love this person. Truly, I want to stay with this person for the rest of my life. But the characters I saw that I never liked. So, baby, what's up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really?
So, baby, what's up? I love you and I want us to get married, but the characters I'm seeing in you that I don't really like. So, what's that? You don't like to be told what to do. We can change it. To go well, because one, we can't have two masters in the same box.
But it's good you talked about it. Some people will not even bring it up to discuss.
Yeah.
And they leave.
Funny enough, you think dating the person during the period you will know the person very well? It's a lie.
That's
I
another
dated my
thing.
wife for 5 years. After marriage, I saw the 5 years. That
Wow.
brought me to when I tell some people, sorry to say this, I don't mean to offend anyone. Women are best enjoying your dating.
Really?
Yes. See,
You agree
it's-
with me?
it's-
Married?
Can I
You-
say
you-
something?
Okay.
Can I say something? Can I ask you something? You have kids,
Go on.
right?
Yeah.
I-
I have children.
You started noticing different character when she put to bed, right?
Yeah, the different characters I was not sitting after
That was
she
after she put
Even
to bed.
when she took in.
Exactly.
That's
because
what Jomane was
it's
saying.
real.
Jomane was saying that is not an
It's a
excuse.
different
You don't
thing.
understand. That is not an
That's
excuse.
a different word for
We are
her.
talking about that. We are talking about character. You understand? Character has nothing to do with.
Do you know? Sorry.
See, okay.
Sorry, my brother. Do you know when women understand I am his wife? It's another entertainment to feel something.
I am not the wife.
I'm the wife.
Nothing can happen.
Nothing can happen. So whatever he does. Now, no, sorry. There are some ways we can actually prevent this domestic violence when you're already married. I have a friend. We went to school together. She said, whenever she has actually used her mouth to wash the husband, and the husband becomes so aggressive, and it comes to the stage where he wants to hit her. Guess what she does? She runs to the toilet, lock the door.
So this woman, sorry, okay.
After some minutes, the anger has gone. Now, let me just give you some instance. Men naturally, just say two men, if we're arguing for something, probably we are insulting ourselves. The next thing is going to be just so, let's end it up with fight. Then, at that point, you want to fight this person. You discover this person just run away.
The reason I disagree with Mr. Henry is not every man thinks this way. I keep saying one thing. As much as we have 7-point-something billion people on the earth,
True.
we have about 7-point-something billion mentalities. Even two people who might have the same mentality is not exactly the same.
Exactly.
True.
So when you see, when a man comes, he's a wife batterer, right? He beats his wife.
Naturally, a wife.
Naturally. There could be some men who, when the woman, do you know, I with some of the things I have been seeing so far, I have come to realize that even when the Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked, it didn't just end there. It says, who can know it? It means you can't even begin to understand how wicked a man is.
True.
What a man can run into. Imagine the case of is it Chinyere Ogudoro or whatever, that a man would look at his wife, go into the house, pour petrol on the woman and light her up. light her up and her younger brother. Before he does that, to show you how wicked this is, he goes first and cuts the water supply to the house so that they don't go and quench the, and douse the fire at any point in time. For every time the woman might run into the toilet, you could find a man who would light something under the sink and just smoke her out of it, so that there'll be smoke in there. Or he could take a piece of a bar and then hit it. A lot of crazy things. When these are psychological problems. As much as we have serial killers, right? Wife battery should be considered a severe psychological problem. Not just a psychological problem come crime. Because it is not enough to just say she ran away. She can run away. The man will chase her. I have seen the man chase her. He's faster, he's stronger, and he will catch and do whatever he wants to do. So the excuse is not even in a woman running away or saying, okay.
So basically, right now, what are the signs? Because we are talking about the signs for people to identify and relate with, so that they can actually not fall into this kind of
first and foremost
situation.
I am a spiritual person. I'm a Christian, and I believe a lot in God guiding a person's choices. So, like Mr. Henry might agree with me, the first thing you need to do is pray that God helps you first.
Yeah, you pray with one eye.
You pray with two eyes, then you open it later after praying with your two eyes closed. Then open two of them, because you don't look at. I keep insisting, right? Even the Bible says, "What man wanting to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost." So before you look at this, decide that you want to get married to this person, like he said, you need to understand. I don't want to believe that it is impossible to see that yes, as much as some of them do not come with signs. Some people do not have a 360-degree change all of a sudden in one night. There might be select cases, right? But it's not in all the cases where we are seeing almost everywhere. Throughout 2022, we've had series of domestic violence that has led to death. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot tell me that all of these men changed immediately. They didn't give out some signs. There were not some markers before the relationship that made the women to see some things. Like we've heard in the case of Osinachi, many of these women could have seen the signs but maintained, like Osinachi, that this man would change. Some are blinded by love. Like Jane Frances said here, some get pregnant but then ask themselves, how do I get out of it? The fact that you are pregnant for a crazy person like that does not mean that you must go ahead with the marriage. Because at the end of the day, it might cost you your life. Then the pregnancy and the child and what, you have lost everything. Seriously. So I do not believe that the signs are there. A person could easily, like one on the, I will still using Chinye and Ogudura as an example. There was a story was told of a time when the husband, I think while they were dating or something, picked a machete and chased after her. When you see a man do that kind of thing and you go ahead, okay, simply because the machete didn't land on you, you could say he just tests, he will not really do it. But you do not know the extent of the man's anger or exactly. The extent of his wickedness.
Yeah, so more like people should not be blinded by.
Don't be blinded by anything.
The signs
at all.
Are revealing,
they are there.
So they should actually. Yes. Because the signs might not be relational. It might not even be what you think or one of the things you're mentioning. But definitely in your own different way, they are actually.
Yes, I believe what you said. The signs is always there in the marriage. Not necessarily when you are courting.
Oh, okay.
The signs they are always there in the marriage.
In the marriage?
Yes.
Not even in the relationship.
See, you might not even see it.
Okay,
Mr. Henry said that when you marry, women can also say the same thing about men. You are another person entirely when you are married. You understand? But when you are married, no, you have nothing to hide. You know, because you believe you are my wife. You understand? He is my husband. Okay. So the character comes out. You see the sign. Okay. And let's see, because the reason why I think most people see the signs. They may, at the point that they even think that this might lead to.
They give excuses.
Now society is the problem.
Okay. The reason why we're doing this is because there are so many people out there who are faced with the same thing. And the funny thing is that it's after this woman's death, that's where a lot of people are coming out to say almost they know this man to be like that. Everyone is coming out with proofs, and not just about her too. Other people are coming out with clips and videos of domestic violence. So I would really want us to talk about this, because I want us to understand that first of all, when an abused person comes to you, we have a role to play. So I believe that there are actually things that we have to say concerning the role human beings need to play so that people don't get hurt again.
When you have a friend who goes through domestic violence and you see that that friend is not ready to leave the marriage due to some certain threat of she's telling you that the husband apologizes anytime he beats her,
and that has always been
that the husband still loves him, because he apologizes and he feels sorry for that and stuff like that, and you're advising this friend to leave the marriage but she still refuses to leave the marriage. The next thing to do is for you to take action, which is, if it's for me, what I'm going to do is, because I can't just go to the police and report, because police people, they'll be like, this is no my matter,
and
this is my business and stuff like that. So what I could do is, since that lady is so close to me, once I'm in the house and I came to visit her or something like that, I could just mount a camera somewhere and go, and any other day I can come to capture that. So I can use that as evidence. To capture when the man was beating the woman and stuff like that. It's a crime. It's also a helping matter.
You are invading their privacy. It's a crime against you. If the man should sue you, you are going.
But if I
for
get
it.
what I want, how can he sue me?
You will go in, he will go in. Now, both of you are going in.
How?
Because first and foremost, do you know, in developed countries, that probably would even nullify your own
They
claim.
can actually even tell you that they are just playing.
They'll just do a counter suit, and God help you, your friend doesn't take your side. She decides to take her side.
That is another thing too, because I kind of agree with what Jane Francis is saying, because I feel even if she wants to do this, yes, it might be bad, but if your friend decides to, like, okay, if you tell your friend, this is
you
what
have
I want
if
to
you want,
do.
If you want to tell your friend,
and
tell your
I
friend.
hope
If she agrees.
the
If she
person
agrees.
agrees, of course,
But without her
definitely,
consent,
that's
then
wrong.
it's actually a good thing.
It's a good thing. She's trying to look out for the
You
person.
can help who doesn't want to be helped.
exactly.
Yes, you cannot.
First of all, even God himself can't help if you don't
Even
want to.
God can't help you if you don't want him to help you.
No, I feel that these people, they are helpless at this point, because I feel
Like,
they are
seriously.
they are watching this from the lens of self-pity, and they are feeling. I know one of the things I've actually understood in this domestic violence is that it gets to a point, the abuse have a way of, suppressing them. They get used to it. And they feel like it's normal.
Osinachi was not helpless. If Osinachi wanted a national voice, if she wanted a global voice, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, I know.
If Osinachi wanted a global voice, Osinachi could have gotten a global voice. The thing there is this, like Henry has said, a person who doesn't want to be helped cannot be helped. All the stories that have been coming out have always had a certain consistency to them, and it has always been that at some point, everybody who had the opportunity to be privy to whatever Osinachi was going through maintained that she said, do not speak, do not talk. Now, some people are coming out to say, I wish I spoke, despite after the fact. I wish I spoke.
That's what I'm saying.
The truth of the matter is, it might not work. The reason is, for a person like Mrs. Osinachi, if she confided in a person and the person went ahead to talk, she could come up to say it's not true. At the end, what does that do to your own whatever you understand what I'm saying? If she has maintained that, there are even stories that said her pastor, she didn't want her pastor to know. So if she didn't want her pastor to know, somebody who's supposed to be the shepherd, her shepherd, her guide, her spiritual mentor, and all of that kind of thing, is it the public she would want to know? There are tendencies that she will come out to say, no, that is not true. You would then see in the tabloids, Osinachi debunks rumor about domestic violence. Your own assertion and claim has been rubbish. There's nothing you can do about it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
See, in a write-up, the pastors know about it. They went to their talk to the husband. Yes, sir. See, that's one thing about a spiritual, spiritual men of God or women of God. See, it happens. When I was in Lagos, I live in a ghetto. Yes, sir. I've seen stuff like that. Even in my own face me and face you, I see people that go through domestic violence, and pastors, ministers, they know about it. They won't advise them to divorce. They will just tell them that okay, they will come to the husband, talk to the husband. That is all. Cancel them, and the truth is that it didn't change anything.
But did you hear that her pastor? Did you also read that her pastor tried to get her to separate from the man?
No.
Yes.
That is actually the
yes,
point.
I read.
Because what we are saying now, we're not saying that anything we are saying here is true. We're only saying that it is what we read. We're not
Yes, I
saying anything
understand.
here. We're saying,
I'm telling you.
The pastor came out yesterday and he made a video that he was never aware of the domestic violence.
I said it here. Like he said he wasn't aware.
He came out on the video and he said that he was never aware.
Excuse me. The pastor said that he was not aware. That's what he said. let me tell you, if people people are colleagues and you understand knows about what's it called, that she's going through domestic violence, I think one of them would have confided in. See, I don't want to assume.
It is supposed.
Yes, I don't want to assume. But the truth is that see, they keep on. There's one man of God that talked about it that I was happy about it. He said even though Bible did not support divorce, he said, but it's better for you to be divorced than for you to
remain dead.
You understand? So I think the man of God talked about it. See, the man of God, he's saying it in wisdom. Yes, he's using wisdom. He's not saying that you should separate from your marriage. He said even though the Bible go against divorce, but it's better for you to walk out of the marriage. Than for you to
Bible. See, even if you must divorce, it's in the Bible. Even if you must divorce, then you are.
It was Paul that talked about it in the Bible.
Procedure.
You understand?
Yes.
See, even people are trying to say so many things. See, the truth is that.
Sorry to cut you. The truth is that we all know that divorce, as Christians, divorce is not allowed. Good. It's not allowed. But God do not hate divorces. That's actually another point that they don't get. You get, so you were talking about helpless. They were not helpless. Helpless comes in different ways. It's not about financial helplessness, it's not about spiritual helplessness or physical or psychological. It can be anything. Like, she might be trying to cover up for the husband. And okay, fine, you're saying that the pastor came out to say that he was not aware. Could it just be that, let's just try to imagine that maybe he heard about it and decided to act, and she's like, oh no, we've sorted it out, things are going on.
Sorry, let me speak.
How is he supposed to play a role?
Let me speak for the Christian sentiments here, especially for those who are listening, who have the sentiments, who are sentimental towards the Christian view to divorce.
Okay.
First and foremost, as Christians, we understand that we are not allowed to be divorced.
Exactly.
However, we are allowed to stay separate.
Exactly, yes.
The fact is, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder, stays there. It's a fact. Now, if you have therefore been joined together, on no account can anything divorce you, separate you from that man. So therefore, divorce, it is null and void in Christianity. It doesn't therefore mean that as a married person going through this kind of thing, you cannot stand up and move away from that house and go stay somewhere else. It just says though that once you've moved away from that, you cannot be entangled with anybody else again. So one of the things that you can do to help yourself, as much as God does not hate divorcees, God does not hate the ritual killers, God does not hate armed robbers, God, he only hates their iniquity, the sin, but he does not hate the person as the person committing that thing. So we cannot, on the basis of the fact that a pastor woke up one day and decided to come up with the mentality that even though God said it is true, the Bible does not say, but should I die than divorce?
No,
separate instead.
Yes, talking about
move away from that house. Take your kids if you can. Fight for child custody.
So basically, that's one of the best ways to protect themselves.
If a man hits you once, please, I'm saying this for anybody who's listening, who's watching. If a man raises his hand and hits you once, or a woman, okay, if a person.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. It's taking us another bit, because the truth of the matter is that domestic violence is wrong in all ramifications, in all aspects, and we don't encourage that. So we are actually believing there should be an intervention to this in every community, in every city, societies. Everyone should be actively involved one way or the other. So I really appreciate the fact that we all talked about this. And if you're also watching, please just try to help someone to stay alive wherever or however you can do it. And if you're also an abuser and abused, please speak up. Honestly, speak up. It doesn't pay to be silent. Honestly, an abuser or abused, you guys are really confusing me right now, because it's emotional that we have lost a great voice, a minister that has won souls for God, and this is a national death. I use the word national death because everyone is getting emotionally involved. So please, let's not have more people going through this same road and same lane. So thank you guys so much for coming on this show. Thank you. It's been an amazing time.